This is a powerful chatbot agent that I built from scratch. And the best thing is you don't need any prior coding experience to build one of these things. The agent I've built is powerful, I've trained it to be able to answer a specialist set of questions, and infinitely scalable. It can handle thousands of conversations at once. There's an infinite number of ways that businesses in every sector can be using this technology, from generating and converting more leads, personalizing your engagements with fans at scale, and answering specific questions to your community. In this video, I'm going to share the 7 key lessons from building an AI agent from scratch, with no prior knowledge and very little coding ability, using some software called Voiceflow. I'm about 40 hours into my Voiceflow journey, and these are the things I wish I knew when I was starting to figure Voiceflow out, as it would have saved me a lot of time. For those that don't know me, hello, I'm Declan Kirk, an automation and AI content creator that spent the past 9 years working at IBM and Salesforce. And now the goal with this channel is to show businesses how they can leverage automation and AI technology to be more effective. So the first key concept when it comes to building your first AI agent is to start simple. Now, it might sound obvious, but if you're anything like me, you'll be fizzing and buzzing with loads of different ideas and thoughts around how you can create these really amazing systems and all of this kind of amazing, kind of limitless possibility that AI provides, and you found the tool that can do it. Now, whilst it's great to bottle that enthusiasm, I think that you want to make sure that you can walk before you run, or crawl before you walk. I think some of the simplest ones to start with are customer support bots, staff training bots, or lead generation. Remember, you can start with just kind of one piece of the puzzle or just one simple design and then start to build out from there. But if you try and incorporate too much, especially at the very beginning when you're just getting your head around what Voiceflow is and how it works, I think you could get overwhelmed. Alright, the second key concept for us to talk through is the concept of the main menu. So with Voiceflow, unsurprisingly, you start with the green button that says Start. That's the beginning of your user journey, or flow. Think of your main menu like your central hub. It's from here that you drag out your different flows and take your user to different areas of your chatbot that you're building. Now, something else I wish I knew at the start, as it would save me hours of time later on when I came to integrating, is the difference between buttons and capturing. So over here on the left, you've got 3 key options, which are buttons, choice, and capture. Now, initially when I was building this, I added a load of buttons, and the idea being that I would then give people options and encourage them to take them on different paths. But when I tried to migrate this across to Instagram or WhatsApp, the buttons wouldn't come through. And so it meant that I had to go back and redesign all of my different flows and sequences so that instead of having buttons, I do what was called capturing the last utterance. So what that means is that instead of giving the user buttons that they click, they have to type something specific, and then that Voiceflow understands what's being typed and then takes them along different journeys and different flows. So in order to add the option to add a last utterance, you go across to listen, drag and drop capture, and then drop it onto the screen. Once you've done that, you're then able to enter a user reply. So, I mean, in this example here, which is live on my website, if anyone wants to check it out, you can, I don't know, say that you want to find out how AI and automation can help content creators. That was something I put in earlier. So you put that in as an option, and then what you want to do is give this system lots of different options or utterances. So instead of just saying how AI and automation help content creators, you might put content creators and then Instagrammers or WhatsApp or whatever it is, so that the system starts to understand the intent and the idea behind what someone puts in. And obviously the more options you add, the better. And that means that you start to get a more kind of realistic sense of conversation between the user and the bot. The next handy dandy little trick that I'm going to point out is being able to add links as part of your conversation flows. So if someone's using this chatbot that's live on my website and they say they want to go to my YouTube channel and they type in YouTube, they're given a URL link. Now the way that I was able to create that was that I added a text box, typed out some text, so I put you can check out my YouTube here, but then I highlighted it and used this link button down here, clicked it, and then put in the URL, the hyperlink where I want to take people to. And I think that's probably the smoothest and best way in order to kind of add that link to Voiceflow. Okay, the next thing for us to talk about is knowledge bases in Voiceflow. If you're not familiar with the concept of a knowledge base, I've made a whole video about the topic, which you can watch up here. But essentially what a knowledge base is a specialized database that contains knowledge relevant to a specific task. So to ingest data into your custom knowledge base in Voiceflow, what you do is you go over here to content over on the left, up to knowledge, which is the first option under agent, and then you go over here to the top right where it says add data source. You click there, and then you've obviously got these different options. You've got upload files, URLs, sitemap, integration, and plain text. So you can type something in here in plain text, but if you want to add a live website URL or ingest kind of PDF documents or whatever it is, you can do so here. Now, I think what's really important to understand when you're ingesting data is that the quality of the data that you ingest is huge. You might have heard that saying. It's almost a bit kind of cliche in kind of AI and kind of technology circles, but it really is a case of bad data in equals bad data out. And so that's definitely something you need to be conscious of. And as much as possible, I always try and streamline the data that I ingest, because that way the system then has a clearer sense of reference and direction in terms of what to retrieve when it's required to do so. Now, if you're like me and you've got a load of content online, or you're creating a system for a creator or somebody else that's got a load of content and you want to get access to their transcripts of the data they put out, the best way I found to do it is to go to youtubetranscript.com, copy and paste the URL of the channel that you're putting into the system, and then once you've done that, you're given a transcript of all of the data. With that transcript, you can then copy and paste that into a Google Doc, and then save it as a PDF, and then ingest it into Voiceflow. Now, once you've ingested all of your data into Voiceflow, you then need to prompt your custom knowledge base to behave in a certain way. So to do that, you click on the gear icon in your custom knowledge base up here on the cog, and then under system, you need to type in a good prompt. Now, putting a good prompt in here is really, really important because it will determine the output and the capability of your overall custom knowledge base. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you watch my guide on prompt engineering up here, because it will give you all of the firm foundations you need to write a good prompt here. But basically, if you follow the Risen framework, which is role, instructions, specifics and context, examples, and then notes and narrowing at the end, you'll then have a good prompt that you can take out the relevant information from. Now, something else that took me ages to figure out was that instead of having to then test your prompt by going back to the designer and then running through your flow until you get to your custom knowledge base and trying it out there, you can actually click the preview button to the right of the cog. And then from there, you can simply enter your question and test the quality of its output, and then go back to the cog in the system and make any refinements to your prompt as you need to. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the importance about thinking about your overall conversation and design and ultimate user experience. See, in my mind, this is a new form of entertainment, and you've got people interacting and engaging with your chatbots. Companies and organizations spend thousands of pounds and a lot of time thinking about the overall flow and design of their website to encourage people to click through into certain buttons or to ultimately to help them reach their goals. And chatbots are the same. What you want to do is think about what you want to achieve with your Voiceflow chatbot or agent, and then think around your flow so that you encourage and promote people to behave and act as you'd like them to. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but this really drives home the point for me. There's a Black Mirror episode called Bandersnatch that was released in 2018, and it's all about a programmer that's going through life, and it's basically an interactive episode where you, the viewer, select different choices and things for him to make, and then there's 5 different endings based on the choices that you make. Now, this is basically what's happening with your Voiceflow agent here. What you do is you craft out different scenarios and different places where you can take your user, and then they, when they go into the system, play around and move around the different areas. So Black Mirror is definitely ahead of the time, I think, when it comes to these types of things, but I always use that as a kind of a foundation when I'm thinking around the different flows and different experiences that I'm creating in Voiceflow. Which brings me on to the next point that I want to make. Connecting with meta platforms is hard, like really hard. Like, so hard that it's almost a bit crazy hard. You see, I've tried lots of different things so far. I've downloaded many chat templates from different school communities and spent time speaking with different developers, all of whom are 10 times smarter than I am, and none of us so far have managed to figure out the best way to do it. Someone who I was speaking with about this told me that some of the many chat templates that you get from the different school communities deliberately leave out specific bits to try and trip you up or slow you down. I don't know whether that's the case, and I don't really understand why people would do that, but that's obviously something to be aware of, and I haven't managed to make that work yet. Another option that I've looked at for me is FlowBridge, which is a solution that connects Voiceflow to the different meta platforms. Now, because you made it through to the end of the video, I'm going to give you something else to think about. A little bit of extra sauce, if you will. Meta have just released Llama 3, which is a language model. I'm based in the UK, and as of time of recording this, I'm not technically supposed to be able to access it. But I worked out that using a VPN and DuckDuckGo, was able to provide me access on an ad hoc basis. And to be honest, when you actually use it, it's incredible. My instant thought when I was playing around with this is that Meta is going to completely change the game here, and that the natural next step is for them to connect Llama-powered AI agents to Instagram and WhatsApp to automate everybody's conversations. But then as I started to think about it further, it hit me. I actually think this is unlikely, because if Meta did this, they would effectively be destroying the legitimacy of all of their different platforms. Because if everybody all of a sudden created an AI persona of themselves that people would then speak with whenever you sent a direct message to somebody across WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever it is, it would completely destroy the legitimacy and trust people have when communicating on these different social platforms. So it's a great idea, but I'm not sure it'll work in earnest. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you watch my beginner's guide to prompt engineering video here. Having a good solid understanding of prompt engineering will level up your Voiceflow builds. Thanks, and I'll see you there. Peace!